How a bachelorette party turned me into a girl. Emily had been counting down the days to her wedding, eagerly anticipating the start of her new life with Alex, her loving and supportive fiancé. Planning the wedding had been exhilarating, though stressful at times, and her friends had promised her an unforgettable bachelorette party, a chance to unwind, laugh, and let loose. Emily's expectations were simple: a night of fun dares, silly costumes, and maybe a few too many cocktails. But as the night unfolded, she found herself on a journey that would reveal an uncharted part of herself and change her life in ways she couldn't have anticipated. When her best friend, Sarah, grinned and revealed the night's theme, a gender swap night, Emily couldn't help but laugh. "Seriously? You want me to dress as a guy?" she asked, hoping Sarah was kidding. But Sarah shook her head, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "It's one night. Just think of the stories you'll have afterward." Emily's friends cheered, chanting her name and egging her on. At first, Emily felt a mix of nerves and embarrassment. Dressing up and acting like someone else was outside her comfort zone, especially with something as exaggerated as a gender-swapped night out. But as her friends' enthusiasm grew infectious, she decided to let herself go with it, thinking it would be a fun memory to laugh about later. They started by taking her to a high-end salon. Emily assumed they would give her some light makeup, maybe a few extra accessories, but Sarah had planned everything meticulously. The transformation would be total. A stylist named Clara welcomed them warmly, excited about the creative challenge ahead. "We're going to make you look like a completely different person," she said with a wink. The hours that followed were surreal. First, Clara waxed Emily's brows, arching them into a refined shape, instantly softening her expression. Then came the makeup, layer after layer, bringing out contours and features she'd never noticed before. The foundation smoothed her skin, blush highlighted her cheekbones, and eyeliner framed her eyes with a softness she hadn't seen before. When the lipstick went on, a bold, deep red, Emily barely recognized the person in the mirror. For the final touch, Clara pulled out a long, wavy wig, styling it into loose, glossy curls that fell over Emily's shoulders. With the wig on, the reflection was nothing short of astonishing. Her friends gasped and cheered as Emily examined herself in the mirror. It was like meeting a twin she never knew existed. "Who is that?" she murmured, feeling a flutter of excitement and disbelief. "That, my dear, is Elliot," Sarah said, dubbing her with a mischievous smile. Emily chuckled nervously, realizing she had fully transformed into someone new for the night. Next, they dressed her in a figure-hugging blue dress that accentuated curves she didn't know she had, and then slipped a pair of high heels onto her feet. The dress clung to her body in a way that felt almost like armor, both protective and empowering. Standing in front of the mirror, seeing Elliot looking back at her, Emily felt an unexpected rush. She looked beautiful, confident, and entirely different from her usual self. Her friends, dressed up for the theme as well, gave her a pep talk on walking in heels, holding her posture, and even giving her tips on how to carry herself. They headed to a busy nightclub, the city lights flickering around them as they stepped into the vibrant nightlife scene. At first, Emily felt self-conscious. The high heels and the tight dress restricted her movements, and every step felt like learning to walk again. But as her friends cheered her on and people around her threw admiring glances her way, she started to relax. Slowly, Emily began to embody Elliot, feeling a confidence she'd rarely allowed herself. As the night wore on, the transformation took on a new depth. She was no longer playing at being someone else. She was Elliot, and she was enjoying every moment of it. The freedom she felt in expressing herself this way was intoxicating. She laughed more freely, danced with abandon, and mingled with strangers who saw only the stunning Elliot. In the crowded bar, something unexpected happened. She bumped into Rachel, an old friend from college. Rachel didn't recognize her and struck up a conversation, charmed by her new friend's vibrant personality. They reminisced about old times as if they were complete strangers, and as they danced, Emily felt the weight of her usual self slip away. She had become someone else for the night, and it was exhilarating. As the sun rose, Emily finally returned home. Stripping off the makeup, wig, and dress, she stared at herself in the mirror. The reflection was once again Emily, familiar, grounded, and real. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling of loss, as though Elliot had become a part of her she didn't want to leave behind. Over the next few days, the experience lingered in her mind. She found herself thinking about the person she had become that night. The confidence, the ease, and the freedom she felt. After days of wrestling with this newfound part of herself, she went back to the salon. Clara welcomed her with a knowing smile, as if she had anticipated her return. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, Emily sat down, and before long, Elliot was looking back at her in the mirror again. What had started as a playful dare soon became a deeply personal ritual. In the weeks that followed, Emily began exploring makeup tutorials, fashion guides, and different styles to bring Elliot to life whenever she had time alone. The transformations became her way of escaping the pressures of daily life, of expressing parts of herself she hadn't even known were there. Elliot was confident, spontaneous, and uninhibited, traits Emily realized she had always desired but rarely embraced. As her wedding day approached, however, this newfound identity weighed heavily on her heart. Emily loved Alex and looked forward to their future, but she also felt a disconnect, a growing realization that she couldn't ignore. Elliot had become a part of her, not just a character, and it felt increasingly dishonest to leave that part behind. One night, sitting down with Alex, she took a deep breath and told him everything. She described the night of the bachelorette party, the thrill of becoming Elliot, and the confusion and exhilaration that followed. Alex listened quietly, absorbing her story. She expected him to react with shock, maybe even anger. Instead, he took her hand gently. "I don't understand everything about this, but I want you to be happy. If exploring this part of yourself helps you do that, then I'm here for you," he said, his voice filled with quiet acceptance. Emily was overwhelmed with gratitude for Alex's support, but she knew this journey was one she needed to take alone. After many tearful conversations, they mutually agreed to postpone the wedding. Though it was a difficult decision, Emily felt a profound sense of relief, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. In the months that followed, she embraced Elliot fully. She sought counseling, connected with communities where people shared similar experiences, and began exploring what this side of herself truly meant. Elliot wasn't just a playful persona or a costume. Elliot was a part of her identity, a reflection of her true self. Each transformation brought a new layer of self-discovery. She experimented with different looks, expressions, and voices, finding power in embracing who she really was. Through therapy and self-reflection, Emily came to understand that her true identity was more fluid than she had once thought. The journey was filled with self-doubt, moments of joy, and breakthroughs that allowed her to feel more complete and confident than ever. As she looked at herself in the mirror, one day, Emily smiled, seeing Elliot, a person who felt like both her past and her future. Staring back, she had finally found a sense of peace, the freedom to live authentically and openly, regardless of how others might perceive her. In embracing Elliot, Emily found the courage to be her true self. And for the first time in her life, she felt whole, free, and ready for whatever lay ahead.